I'm Flynt Leverett, Senior Fellow and Director of the Geopolitics of Energy Initiative here at the New America Foundation. I'm going to talk with you for a couple of minutes about recent diplomatic developments concerning Iran and the Iranian nuclear issue. I think that last weekend's meeting in Geneva needs to be seen in the context of ongoing efforts by Javier Solana, the European Union's foreign policy chief, to create effectively a new category of negotiations between the so-called P5+1 and Iran. Of course, we've had an offer on the table for some time for negotiations between the P5+1 and Iran, but the P5+1 in Iran has been insisting that Iran suspend all of its fuel cycle activities for those negotiations to move forward. I think there's a growing recognition Iran is not going to suspend its fuel cycle activities, certainly not anytime soon. And within the P5+1, the Germans, Russians, and Chinese are privately raising profound doubts as to whether this condition, this requirement of suspension, is not really proving counterproductive to getting a serious diplomatic process going, but the requirement is still on the table. What Mr. Solana is doing is trying to create a new category of talks, pre-negotiations, some call it talks about talks, in which Iran would not, at least not immediately, have to suspend its fuel cycle activities. And under the rubric of these pre-negotiations, the two sides could explore whether there's a comprehensive diplomatic agenda that they could all agree on as the basis for negotiations. This is not a new idea on Mr. Solana's part, but within the last 2 months, we've had considerable indications of interest from the Iranian side in using some kind of pre-negotiations formula to explore a possible comprehensive diplomatic agenda between the two sides. In this context, the participation of Undersecretary of State William Burns in last Saturday's meeting raised considerable international speculation that the Bush administration might be wanting to explore these possibilities. What I find unfortunate in the outcome of the meeting and subsequent statements by administration officials, including Secretary Rice, is that I think once again the Bush administration is really missing an opportunity to set its relations with Iran on a more positive course by imposing a 2-week deadline for Iran to accept a particular definition of the freeze for freeze formula, and continuing to insist that real negotiations will have to wait until Iran suspends its fuel cycle activities entirely. I think that the Bush administration is imposing an artificial deadline on the process, is trying to impose narrow definitions on the process, which effectively require the Iranians to surrender before negotiations begin. And I think by sticking to this course, the Bush administration risks missing one of the best opportunities we've had for several years to put U.S.-Iranian relations on a better course and to make some real progress in resolving the Iranian nuclear issue.